Hey, what's going on, folks? Okay, a subject that has come up several times this week, actually a few times just today, all right? Um, a lot of people getting dogs in, a lot of trainers that have already been messed up with someone else's e-collar training. The dog has gone through bad e-collar training. Not a lot of teaching as far as the e-collar goes, just used as an aversive tool, a lot of punishment, a lot of forcing behaviors, right? Or teaching behaviors with higher level e-collar work. Really common. I've talked about this before and I have already made videos on this. There's already a chapter in my book about this specific issue, but people tend to get a little bit lazy and not want to look through things. I totally understand that. So can the dogs be fixed? Absolutely, 100% of the time. I've mentioned it before. For several years, most of the dogs that I used to get here, a lot of them have already been through bad e-collar training, okay? I don't really do anything different. Most dogs turn around very, very easy. I just start from the beginning and start fresh like the dog's never had an e-collar on. But there's a couple of things that people are missing the point on. The relationship in all aspects with any dog that comes here is always the number one priority for me, always, okay? So where trainers are messing up when they get a dog in that's already been messed up on the e-collar, they jump right to fixing the e-collar work. That's not what's going to fix it, guys. What's going to fix it is first earning that dog's trust, building that relationship without the tool, okay? Going back to the leash, working on behaviors, all the basics on leash, using food, not using food, spending time with the dog, getting the dog to settle in, to feel like it's your dog, not jumping right back to the tool, all right? Once you have that relationship and that trust, it makes the bad e-collar work that much easier to fix. But that has to be done first. It has to be. Too many people jumping right to the tool, too much in a hurry to try to fix the bad e-collar work. That's not how it works. And then there's too much emphasis on the e-collar. That bad e-collar work is going to most easily be fixed when you're not using the e-collar, when it has nothing to do with any of the tools you're going to use, all right? How much does that dog trust you? How much does that dog look to you? It has to be done. Then you start at the beginning. You start conditioning the dog like it's never had an e-collar on, and the majority of the dogs don't miss a beat. They switch and they do better right from the start when you present it the way it should be presented. Don't get me wrong, every now and then you're going to have a dog that's a little more difficult. The most difficult cases I've had to fix with bad e-collar work has come with when there's underground fence associated with the dog, okay? A lot of dogs come through here that people have an underground fence. That's not the problem. That's not a problem. All of those dogs have the same reaction when you first start introducing the e-collar to the dog, okay? When you're first trying to find the dog's lowest level perceived, almost all of them have the same reaction. They just freeze. They stop moving. You know, if they're breathing normally, the mouth closes and they're trying to figure out where's that sensation coming from because they're waiting for the big zap to come. That's what they've experienced with the underground fence. Not a problem. Same thing. We just start over normally and the dogs come through it. The ones that struggle, a couple of the most difficult cases I've had here is when the dog has had multiple really bad experiences with the underground fence. That can make it kind of tough. So the one female Rottweiler I had here a couple years ago was the most difficult case I had of fixing the e-collar work because literally the second the dog felt like, barely felt anything from the e-collar, when I was trying to find that dog's level, she didn't have that response of freezing or just not knowing where it's coming from. She panicked and time after time would try to break away from me and get back into my house where she felt safe. That's where she felt she would not be affected or harmed with the intensity from the underground fence. And what happened with her was she had broken through the underground fence multiple times, received really high punishment from the underground fence, but then would try to get back in. And it just would be repeating very, very harsh, high level shocks from the underground fence. So that dog had a extremely bad experience many times. That made it a little more difficult, okay? But as far as fixing it, it all goes back to the leash and the relationship before you re-add the tool, okay? That's number one. I'll give you an example. I'm not fixing bad behaviors with it, but with Rita, the German Shorthair Pointer that's here right now, you know, she's doing really well. Today, I'm getting ready to take her out and we're going to Cabelas for the first time. And I normally don't do that with a lot of dogs, go out on town and everything, because it's really not that important as far as I'm concerned. But I'm gonna take her out, we're gonna go to Cabelas. The main thing is Cabelas has a lot of big boulders out front, and I'm gonna get her up on a lot of things and getting moving. And we'll go in the store too and walk around and everything. But when we go out there in public, she's not going to have an e-collar on. And when people see that, if I do film it, you know, if Sophia can't come with me to film it, people are going to ask you, how come she doesn't have an e-collar on your own boat? Well, she's on leash. There's absolutely no reason for her when she's with me on leash to have an e-collar on. So for me, that e-collar usage comes for when the dog is off leash, allowing them to have that freedom, okay? If I need to correct something or fix something or guide her in any way when we go out to the store, when she's on leash, I want it coming from the leash. I want it coming from me. It's always going to be much more effective, and the dog's going to learn a lot more when it comes from me through the leash, not the electronics, okay? On the flip side, when a dog is away from you, far away, and you can communicate with that dog, whether it's just a tactical communication, a correction, or a signal, you know, a directional, any of that. When you can do that when the dog is away from you, that's extremely powerful in the dog's mind, okay? That's just me. That's the way I like to do things. But when the dog's on leash, I'm not going to have an e-collar on it. None of my dogs would ever have an e-collar on if the dog's on leash, because to me it doesn't serve a purpose, okay? So I hope that clears up a few things, especially about fixing the bad e-collar work. You got to get back to basics, guys, with all dogs, but especially those dogs that have had a really bad experience. Now, a lot of people shy away from it, and they're not going to go back to it because the bad experience the dogs have had. If the dog ran across a hardwood floor and slipped and injured their leg and now is scared of hardwood floors, would you never make the dog go across a hardwood floor again? No, you want to fix that dog's fear of the hardwood floor, right? You're not going to stay away from it. You're going to build the dog back up to realize there's really nothing to fear there. It's the same thing with the bad usage of any tool. I don't want to just say, okay, we're going to stay away from that. You know, it's not going to happen. It's the same way when someone gets a dog that's extremely fearful or insecure, and you still hear people say, you know, would you put an e-collar on that dog? Well, yeah, it's going to have tremendous benefits. But I've shown that many, many times. Too many people still don't understand the concept of a more modern and a lot softer way to use the tool today. And that's what it comes down to. It can benefit so many people and so many dogs that are otherwise not experiencing the benefits that it can provide. And that's too bad, okay? So for you folks that are struggling with dogs that are already messed up, short answer, yes, it can be fixed. But go back to basics and build the trust in the relationship before reintroducing it in a proper fashion, okay? I hope that helps. Peace.